ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru, low, low, low.
And folks, we have some Division 2 action for you today on Orsha East. Rang, who do we have?
Left hand side in the blue, we have El Bowser, who's playing third Falchimiaga with Maverick Income. Right hand side in the red, we have DarkNeutron playing first DFL, also with a Maverick Income.
So I was mentioning this before to you as we're kind of getting started. Why is it that despite the fact that they have a pretty deep air tab, why do you never really see that much air power from the first DFL?
Right, usually with air tabs, you don't want to invest too much in it because air power has diminishing returns. You still need ground forces. You just need enough to bomb the enemy just a little bit into submission. You don't need to go full on Blitz, Dresden, any of that sort of stuff.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Now, we're actually going to see a partisan squad take out an early Opal Blitz. So despite the fact that he's going to die almost instantly after this, already paying for himself.
Yeah.
Already
Nice
paying for
little
himself.
rush. Yeah, I also like the BF-109 call out right at the start. It's a bit of a ballsy move, but I mean, of course, yeah, there's always the option of the Seafire. But Seafire is a nimble little plane. This is like a very intense dogfight, really, for just two aircraft. It's distracted me from the actual frontline shenanigans.
Except that the Seafire is going to pick him up here in a second. Yep, that's the problem. Seafire, people don't really quite understand the fact that the Seafire is blisteringly heavily armored for a recon plane. The 220 mils as well as 4 Brownings. Like, he has a 303, but it's going to be intense. And when we looked away, look at the center of this. The entire center of the Fallschirmjäger position is completely obliterated. It's gone. It's never coming back, Jim.
It folded like a cheap stack of cards.
Yeah, it definitely looked like that for sure. And not being helped out by the fact that we do have ourselves a couple of Greyhounds coming on through.
Yes, this is
please.
good use of fire support from the middle with the Greyhound and the Sherman. I mean, really, the Falchimiagas does not have much air. I do have that one LG-42, which is in a good spot, really, but he can only do so much now, considering the front has completely and utterly collapsed.
Yeah, it's a good enough moment, but actually I want to turn your attention actually down to the south, because when we were looking away at the air fight, look what's happening down here. It's absurd. Everybody falling away in disaster. We have, chalks going in every single direction. I'm sorry, please, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, the Falchimiagas are, of course, very powerful infantry, but the DFL has some phenomenal CQC troops, and I think it's also just a vehicle fire support down south as well, providing that edge in superiority.
But the thing is that if we're looking at all of the stress, that had to come from some sort of air power here, but the only thing I could see from that being early on is a P-47, so it's possible we saw a P-47 strike while the Seafire was doing its thing. And what we see right now is the result of that. It's the obliteration of the Fallschirmjäger, who just cannot stand up to all this. And watch, this half-track's going to pick up an awful lot of troops here.
Yeah, I just need to get rid of a leader, and all of these guys will also just completely go as well. Yeah, the French getting some fantastic gains right off the start. Even though it's only, okay, there we go, 15-9. As you can see, the flags do fold quite quickly, and yeah, that southern position is a buggered.
Oh, absolutely. 16-8. And yes, this one Fallschirmjäger, he's technically controlling ground, but I mean, you can only really count it controlling if you can, tramp back over it one more time.
Yeah.
We're going to see a bit of a I'm going to call it a rush in the other direction, a couple of L6s. The funny thing is, against a lot of the French Foreign Legion, that'd be okay, but they still have M3A3s behind this. So, M3A3, we don't see it very often. It is basically just a recon steward, more or less. But yeah, I mean, what the heck can you do from here? This is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too terrible right now down south, as he does have the L6s and the recon vehicle. If he can just deal with the half track, he can start, I'd say, zoning out the forest a bit, but there's an M10 being brought up, and I can pretty easily deal with the limited Falchimiaga armor down south.
True. I think the first thing here is, can El Bowser stop the bleeding? I mean, bringing a Stug here in the center, really great start to that. Yes, there's an M4A4 over here, so you could theoretically meet his match pretty easily, but the Stug does outgun him.
Yes.
Northern side, can we see a push up here? Well, right now we're a little bit light in infantry, and with both guys running that Maverick Income, there's not going to be an econ advantage anytime soon, or ever, really, for that matter.
Yeah, Felbauser can at least capture that one flag in the northern ranch. He can at least bring us down to a +1 bleeds, which isn't terrible. I
Mhm.
mean, once you get into B phase is when, it's really make or break for the Maverick income. I feel like down south it's just a lost cause. It's gonna be pretty hard to take that back, especially once your M10 gets him into position. But there's still opportunities in the center as well. So we'll just have to see if we can actually pick up momentum. That is still a pretty heavy loss right off the bat. And now both sides actually investing in mortars at the exact same time. Quite funny.
Well, you got to do that. I feel that both squads desperately kind of need that mobile firepower, and unfortunately for the Fallschirmjägers, there's going to be two to hit this one, so that's going to be a bit of an uphill battle, figuratively in this particular case. I mean, mortars being mortars, I don't care if it's uphill or downhill.
It'll get on the hill one way or another. Just not from underneath, that would be a bit weird.
Exactly, exactly. That's a very different game. I'm not sure we're playing that one here. The center is actually looking marginally better here, because so much French equipment was concentrated on the southern side. We have some in the north here as well. That's allowed it mass a little bit more. And to me, you're saying the south is a completely lost cause. There's one way it's not a lost cause, and that's if you can take advantage of the southern side of this hill.
Oh yeah, if you try to flank in from down, yeah. It's definitely an
Exactly.
opportunity. Oh,
Exactly.
P-47 coming in. Oh, good hit.
And I think that was the reason we saw all that stress happening before. And it's Seafire coming back in to check his work, and the Hellcat coming in looking for that Stug. And yeah, that's a couple 1,500 pounds of bombs. That's going to hurt quite considerably here because there's
Yeah.
no anti-air.
Just opening with the C-Fire, of course, is such a powerful move of DFL because it's
Mhm.
such a good recon plane, and like we see, it's a very capable fighter plane as well. It only has enough ammunition to really shoot down one aircraft, but it's still not bad for a bloody. Actually, open up again. 80-point recon plane.
No, not at all. I mean, we're used to seeing recon planes that are biplanes more than anything else. This is we're not expecting to see something that's quite so considerable. We are seeing an SPW actually up to the north, AB-41, that's just kind of being a rinky-dink kind of pain in the ass, for lack of a better term. And I think, yep, CFR gonna make a gun run at that. Has a potential to theoretically kill, but not
Theoretically,
really.
oh, it's not gonna have enough ammo.
True, true. The same thing, actually, we're going to see a Fallschirmjäger going to be engaged by another Greyhound here. And this, unfortunately, I think is going to get missed until it's too late.
It's not gonna get close. Oh,
Oh, wait! Oh!
ah.
PTRD, that would have hit.
Yes. They wouldn't need to get as close.
That's also true.
hmm
Um,
But it's just a good use of armor. Yeah, really just good use of armor so far from DarkNeutron, and I think the mortars in the middle are going to make a pretty big play. With his reconnaissance plane, he should have spotted the enemy 81 mil, so he can potentially counter battery at. And especially considering the central position is much more of a infantry choke point, it's really just two lanes of towns. Mortars can really shut down any effective pushes.
Actually, I love this, though. Despite the fact that he really should have a theoretical, edge on this, they're trying to engage the German mortars, but one of them gets suppressed already. Very, very unfortunate there. Um, yeah, I really have to appreciate the Germans taking some lemons and making maybe not lemonade, but Fanta.
hmm And also
With more,
bringing out the own
yes.
recon plane, so he can actually use
Ooh,
that to properly spot the French 81 mils. Now we're just gonna have an arty war here between the mortars, and the French come
literally,
out on top.
the first shot destroys the entire position. And they're blind too, so that's crazy.
Damn good hit.
Very good hit. At long last, we are seeing an 88 come out here, and I think that's about several minutes overdue. I understand the idea of bringing more infantry, but if your opponent's been showing that they're investing so much into air power, you got to make some kind of move otherwise.
Yeah, those sea fires just being able to spot pretty much the entirety of the German positions for not being contested in the sky. You can't allow it to happen, especially with the Fallschirmjägers who rely a lot of static equipment such as smaller support guns and infantry, which are very vulnerable to artillery and, well, aircraft.
Very much so. Very much so. And you see right now, 81 mil is actually go right back where the old one was. So I'm not sure quite what's expecting out of that position, but we are in a phase B. It's still a 15-9. I think there are a couple of very, you know, obtainable points here, but I think it implies us, seeing the Germans focus on that town right along the neck, let's say, of that hill,
Mm-hmm.
or
And then
maybe
just
just below that.
and also just pushing, I think, a little bit up north. If he can get into that
Yes.
ranch position up north, that's two fairly easy flags to take. There's a bit of fire support backing him up. But that's probably the closest place to the front lines where you can at least negate the +1. Pushing in center is more costly, just due to how much more built up it is.
True. True, and I think he heard you here too. Ooh, mortar's starting to shell these incoming troops. No, actually, he was going after the Stoke. Interesting. I would have dropped. I would have dropped on the foot sloggers. It would have been great to kind of go and suppress the Stoke, but that's not the thing that's going to take the ground. Like you said, that's why you have infantry.
Yeah.
But 3 squads of Luftwaffe Jaegers up to the northern side, so nothing too crazy there. But I think he definitely hears you on that one.
Yeah, that's definitely just a good place to push him. I mean, they're really just to be beacons, or meat shields, I should say, to just draw fire in the open ground and then use the stug to blow anyone up to smithereens.
2 squads, that is, because the M10 fires a beautiful long-distance shot and takes one of them back out. Mortars going with the LG-42. No, they're both going back. Okay, I was expecting them to actually try to do some counter battery fire back on the enemy mortar, but that doesn't seem to be the most of their concerns for the moment.
And that LG might go down. Nope, managing to survive that barrage, and the 81 mils being forced to fall back for the time being. But even though DarkNeutron does have a good defense on the hill. He's got pretty much 3 tanks up on here. And El Bowser, I mean, does have the one stug, but tank destroyer, close quarters, a bit dangerous. Even though it's kind of more of a frontal battle, but you have to contend with stabilizers. Yeah, it's tough. He needs to get his infantry up closer, but the tanks are kind of stopping him from doing that.
And when the tanks are stopping him from doing that, we have the airplanes, which are. So here we go. Hellcat going to bomb this front position. Yeah, he'll stress out his own troops, but who cares? It doesn't matter. I mean...
Well, the danger close buys time.
Yes, it does. One Pioneer squad is going to move in, so we might see a potential. Maybe not. Maybe not. Lots of mortar fire is going to go down on a lot of these other troops. The Chalk's out in the open. This should be, a super easy pickup over here for the Fallschirmjäger Pioneers, but they're not going to go for it.
Oh.
Of course, getting some suppression in. There we go. From the mortars can help out quite a bit. Northern side, like I said, Luftwaffe Jaegers, they walked point, they got shot, they are pinned, they're falling back, so that northern push is a little bit stillborn.
Yeah, and DarkNeutron's actually pushing a bit all the way in the far north, and there's only 2 guys and 1 flamethrower to try and hold off. And against the Legionnaires and Shocks, that's not going to go well for the Flammenwerfers, most likely.
No, a little bit unlikely when guys who are basically screaming about how fanatical they are. Yeah, that's not going to go particularly well.
Yeah. I'm not going to even open fire. With the fire. Because he has the fire. There we go.
Oh, the return fire. After the first, 2 minutes of a match, I feel like you pretty much need to turn off return fire. Because you need to always get that first strike in. You can't not get that first strike. But maybe that's just me.
Especially with flamethrowers. With other units it makes sense, but with flamethrowers you just kind of want to flame as close as you can. Or as whenever you can, really.
Also fair.
Yeah, that's a lot of... Yeah, we've got 2 105 howitzers being brought into the mid. It's just, a lot of fire support in the mid being brought up. It's going to make it harder and harder for El Bowser to push.
Even harder still when the Stoke goes down. Considering the... I'm not going to say minimal level of vehicular support that they get, but they don't get a ton of it. And that's not a way that you want to continue to be here. Ooh, Pack 40 going to be engaged. Yep, we're going to see going for the Flak 88 and then the Pack 40. Good target kind of description here.
Both sides investing really heavily in mortars here. It's a good map for it because of Orsh East. You can hide them behind the hill, and just due to it being a very much a town fight, the artillery does help out quite a bit. But it's honestly, for both sides, the mortars have been working out quite well.
Yeah, just for the moment, it's just been much better for the French. Although we're going to see right now 3 German mortars, and jeez, it's just stuff going in every single direction. I think the French mortars for the moment are going to be suppressed quite considerably.
Yeah. Maybe we get a supply truck out would be a nice pickup.
Yeah, the AOE on that might be a little bit difficult. However, getting 3 M10s going the other direction against somebody who doesn't have any tanks really, other than that rinky-dink L6, not going to be a great position in which to be. Oh, well, I'm sorry. He's making a flying attack, a flying column here in a second. Here comes a sucker punch.
Yeah. That's a whole heap of armor. And that
Yes.
Pandro 6 is going to do a bit of heavy lifting.
Bro, I don't care how much you lift. You're not going to bench that many tanks.
Oh. Just like Alamein.
Yeah. What does it matter if you lose 4 tanks to my 5? Yeah, I mean, yeah, but the same thing is that it's going to be consistent the entire way through. It's not El Alamein if there's really been no chance for the Germans to turn it back. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the L6 is going to surprise us all and get some nice little flank shots, but for the moment, the PBIs are going to get picked on, and it ain't going to be pretty.
No, it's not. We've seen some decent counter battery on the Bofors, but that's not really going to do you doing too much at this point in the match, and we're almost at the end of C phase here, and yeah, it's not looking good for Bowser. Of course, with the Maverick incomes, once you get to C phase, it becomes very hard to push because you have such a low amount of points to work with. So, yeah, I think Bowser is a bit buggered here, so to speak.
Yeah, apparently he pissed off the wrong plumber. So...
Luigi, right?
Exactly. Luigi Cadorna.
Yes.
But Mortars is continue to engage the German stovepipe positions. Germans firing the other direction. Going after actually the 105s, and I guess for me, the only thing I'm a little bit surprised by is the fact that the 105s got brought in.
No,
Like,
in
I
a pretty good
understand why.
spot.
Oh, L6 goes down instantly.
Oh, that was the tank which could have done it all.
Exactly. No, but I mean, I want to like the 105s, but when the pack howitzers exist, even if it's not for the French Foreign Legion, it's so hard to really appreciate them for what they are. I feel like the mortars have a better bit of utility.
Yeah, there's a lot of the mortar spam has made it harder for static weaponry to be used in this matchup, and you're going to see there'll be a front line flying over to be able to spot everything briefly. And then we're just seeing a huge investment in Luftwaffejägers coming into the center.
Yeah, this is the last throw of the dice here, which is justifiable. That southern side, which is brutalized from the word go, and just nothing was unfortunately able to happen because of it. This Panzer Abwehr, though, oh my gosh, he's going to be behind enemy lines. Oh my gosh, he picked up at least 1 tank, if not 2. That's amazing.
But absolutely ate that bomb. I'm actually surprised he didn't get completely killed by a 10-man Panzer Strike Squad or something else.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, that guy's a frontline unit right there.
Here comes the Luftwaffejägers. No longer defending the airfield, now having to charge the French. It's probably not ideal fighting conditions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Goering didn't really have this in mind when he was like, yeah, my guys are happy to be frontline troops.
Yeah. They're totally well-trained.
Yeah, exactly.
And motivated. They secretly wanted to be on the Eastern Front.
Yikes. And then one Hellcat strike comes in and the entire front folds. I was talking about why don't people go and use more air power, and I think this makes a very good case of why you should use air power.
Yeah, those Hellcats and P-47s. I mean, just all the aircraft in the French Foreign Legion are superb. And yeah, it's a GG. Pretty standard run, KD difference of 1,000 or so.
Yeah. And there's the hero up there at the bottom taking 2 M10s. Other than that, no one unfortunately really has a whole lot to kind of talk about over here on the Fallschirmjäger side. But that's what happens, though. Fallschirmjäger, you have to be super aggressive, and you have to be a little bit lucky here that you can at least take and hold an initial position.
It's also because, third Voucher Maker really revolves around the super superiority of their Terminator troops. But the French Foreign Legion troops and the Chocks and the Bimps and all of those blokes are also like allied Terminators. They can go toe to toe, as you see, quite well with just regular Fallschirmjägers. And also just initial, I think, just shock pushing down south, good use of the recon plane and armor. Really just sealed the deal. Like, pretty much DarkNeutron run that in the first 5-6 minutes or so.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, and I very much want to go and commend Bowser for actually not just kind of dropping instantly on that.
Mhm.
Um,
He had opportunities in that match to push on through, but the French were just dug in a little bit too deep.
and we're able to mass exactly where they needed to be. So yeah, absolutely. Really well played over here for the French. And again, Bowser, I commend you there, sir. I would have thrown in the towel about 10 minutes earlier, so well done. Any final thoughts, sir?
No.
In that case, folks, that's going to do it for us today. As always, come back on Thursday for another, another solid replay, a solid cast. Until then, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.